All right, so my clock says 9. Are we good, Autumn?
We are good.
All right, good morning. You are attending the Animal Matters Commission hearings for April 7th, 2025. The Animal Matters Commission was established and is conducted in accordance with Article 12 of the Anne Arundel County Code. These are administrative hearings, and by nature they are informal, which means you are not hampered by the rules of evidence. However, please be aware that you are still testifying under oath. Each party will have their opportunity to state their case. After each party states their case, they will have an opportunity to ask questions of the other party. Please do not interrupt the other party. You will be given ample time to talk. In many cases, we are aware that there is a history. You may briefly tell the commission about the history. However, please focus on the issue at hand. After each case, the commission will have open deliberations. During these deliberations, the public may not participate. If the commissioners have an additional question, you may answer that question. No further information will be heard and a decision will be rendered. This decision is a recommendation to the chief of police or her representative. The recommendation of the commission will be taken into consideration and a final decision will be made by the chief of police or her designated representative. If, as the defendant in this case, you are unhappy with the decision of the commission, you may appeal. For citation cases, appeals are made through the District Court of Maryland. For administrative orders, such as potentially dangerous, and vicious orders, appeals are made through the County Board of Appeals. Please call the first case.
Okay, so we're going to go a little bit out of order based off of who's currently here now, Jen.
Okay.
So if you're a part of the case, Anne Arundel County Animal Care Control versus Gehring, please use the raise hand function at this time so I can promote you to panelist.
I'm sorry, Autumn, I'm kind of lost. Which case are we doing?
Victoria, I don't know if I'm saying it, her last name correctly, Gehring.
Gehring.
Okay, I must be looking at
Gehring.
Yeah, we're going a little out of order, Jen, because I'm going based off of who's currently present in the attendees.
Oh, no, it's not you. I think I printed an old agenda because I don't even have that name on my
Do you want
agenda.
me to send you the new one real quick?
Yeah, would you please? Sorry about that.
I think it's fair to say that due to all the postponements.
Yeah, I'm glad to see everything's working. Oh, so are we actually, all right, so are we actually working off of more than one agenda or are they all on?
I just sent you the most updated one.
Yeah, I'm waiting for it to. Unfortunately, the rain messes with but that's all right. Go ahead. Don't let me hold you up. I will catch up because I have it. I'll pull up the drive.
Okay, so for all parties speaking, could you please raise your right hand and keep your hand raised? Mrs. Gehring, can you please raise your right hand? Maybe I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how to do that.
No, your physical hand.
Just your physical hand. Thank you. Do you declare and affirm under penalties of perjury in the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? And just if you could do that one at a time. Go ahead, Mrs. Cortez.
I do.
Go ahead, Mrs. Gehring.
I do.
And if you can, please just state your name and address for the record.
Sure. Victoria Gehring and 331 St. Bees Drive.
Great, thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Cortez.
Cortez, 411 Maxwell Fried Road, Millersville, Maryland, 21108.
Thank you. So I'm now going to ask everyone to use their mute function when they're not the party speaking, and I'll turn over things now to Chairman Brianza.
Thank you. All right, this is Animal Care and Controls case. So we'll start with Autumn.
Okay. On March 4th, 2025, Simona, a Labrador and Pit Bull mix, brown and colored spayed female, while running at large, was involved in a severe animal attack to Kuma that required debridement to repair as Kuma's paw was degloved, causing skin to be pulled back, exposing underlying tissue and ligaments. Simona was impounded at the shelter on March 5th under a public safety impound, and on March 7th, Animal Care and Control placed a dangerous order on the dog. Ms. Gehring appealed the order on March 7th while also working to comply with the order so Simona could come home. At this time, Ms. Gehring has complied with the order, and the dog is at home with her. She's just appealing the designation. However, given the circumstances, Animal Care and Control stands by its designation.
All right. So, Miss, is there anything else further for animal control?
That is all we have at this time. We don't have pictures of the actual injury given the gravity of it. However, the vet records are under the file in the drive for evidence review if you would like to take time to review that.
Okay, I see evidence in there. Do any of the commission members want to do they need any time to review the information in the drive? Dr. Hummer, you look like you're
You're
muted.
muted.
Okay. All right, then we're going to move forward. I lost Miss Gehring. Okay, there she is. Miss Gehring, what would you like to tell us?
Sure. So I would like to appeal the dangerous order to potentially dangerous. One is behavioral and specific triggers. Those triggers include resource guarding and her fear of dogs. I believe with additional proper training and care, her fear-based aggression can be contained. We have installed additional barriers inside of the house for added security. So far, Simona has had 2 training sessions and they're going well with a certified dog trainer. And we have another appointment lined up for this upcoming Friday. I feel optimistic and hopeful for the progress that our dog is making. And that is all I have to say.
Okay. And Autumn, real quick, assuming the Animal Care and Control opposes changing this from a DO to a PDO?
We do appeal that. We think that maintaining that. This is not the first incident. However, due to the incident that occurred in the last couple months, we don't have immediate access to that as of right now. But there was a previous minor incident with this same dog, Simona, and the same victim dog. I just think that given the escalation that the dangerous order is the appropriate, considering that the dog's paw was completely degloved, and is going to require extensive surgeries moving forward to fix the dog's leg.
Okay.
Do you mean that you've been made aware of another situation, or has animal control has been called out on another situation prior?
No, it was a previous incident to this one that happened in the last 3 years.
Okay.
Is that an incident that Animal Control was involved in?
Yes.
Dr. Hummer?
On that previous incident, what was animal control's adjudication of the case?
At this time, I can't comment on that because that data was lost to us. We have the physical copies of it, but we have a lot of cases, so we're working diligently to rebuild everything. So we don't have immediate access to it right now.
Why don't we have, is that because of that thing that happened last month? You don't have access? Okay. All right.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Gehring,
Sorry, go ahead.
Ms. Gehring, do you dispute that there was a prior incident between your dog and the same victim dog?
There was. Yeah, December
Okay.
23, I believe.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Hummer?
Since animal control can't provide any information on that previous incident, can you give us at least your perspective on what happened in December?
Sure. So I was taking her out for a bathroom break and she pulled so hard she saw a dog and I accidentally let go of the leash. And unfortunately, at that time, Kuma happened to be walking past our house, and she bit and held down on his leg. I believe there were puncture wounds, but I don't think he needed any stitches at that time.
Okay. And what kind of leash did you have your Simona on?
Um,
Regular leash or retractable leash?
the standard leash, with the handle, it was not retractable.
Okay. What kind of collar does Simona wear?
She just wears a nylon collar.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Ms. Gehring, again, in this situation, did the same, is this how Simona became at large this time, same way she pulled away from you at the least, or can you describe how that happened?
Yeah, so for the second time, my brother, he believed he shut the door, and he did not, and the dog got out and saw Kuma, and she bit him, and then she came back running inside the house, scared.
I missed some of that. I don't know if it's just my connection. Did anybody else miss any of that?
No. Dr. Hemmer?
Autumn, do you have any comment on what Ms. Gehring you said about the incident in December?
That seems pretty concurrent with what we know, that she lost control. But again, Simona was running at large. I can't make assumptions about what we did or did not do, but it does add on to the history that on two separate incidents, which both escalated, one being the puncture and then the extreme case of this one, that it's escalated and that the dangerous orders to stay in place.
A couple follow-up questions for Ms. Gehring. Ms. Gehring, what did you receive as a result of that incident in December? What paperwork do you recall receiving from animal control, if any?
There was no paperwork.
So you didn't get a summons, you didn't get a citation, you didn't get an order. You, as far as you know, animal control was just made aware of a previous incident, and that's the extent of it, correct? Is your understanding?
Yes.
Okay. Is that your understanding, Autumn?
That is the only thing I could possibly think is a warning letter might have been sent out, but again, I don't have access.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, do we have anything further from either side?
No, ma'am.
Okay, then I am going to close the hearing for deliberations. Thank you, Ms. Gehring.
Thank you for your
All right, Nicole, I saw you like shaking your head vehemently. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the case, but I figured I'd start with you. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. It's not, you're just very low. That's all.
I mean, I'm right here. No.
I think we lost her.
I think she jumped off to jump back on. When she comes back in, I'll promote her back.
Okay, well then I guess I'll start with Dr. Hemmer.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you just fine.
Okay.
I don't, did anybody else have trouble hearing Nicole?
I
She was
did.
just very low.
Yeah, I did. That's right. She was very low. No volume is what I was getting.
Okay.
Okay. So, based on what I've heard from Autumn and Miss Gehring in terms of trying to take into consideration a previous incident, but even if we take out that previous incident, the fact that we inflicted a severe injury on a domesticated animal, I think is enough to uphold the dangerous designation. The previous incident, regardless of what she got, I don't think is going to impact my thought process on today's evidence that's been presented. And I think we have to uphold the dangerous designation at this point, based on that.
Tom?
Yeah, good morning. I appreciate that she has made some efforts with the animal, trying to get some training done and all that stuff. But I think I agree with Dr. Hemmer with the severity of the bite, and the incident that, again, the previous incident is kind of here nor there for this situation. I think the severity of that bite, the fact that there is somewhat of a history kind of plays into that. So I'd be inclined to uphold.
Jackie?
I agree. I don't see any reason to take the dangerous order off.
Hi, Nicole. Welcome back.
Yeah, switch phones, so hopefully this one's better.
Yep.
Great. So, yeah, I reviewed all of the evidence in the file prior to this morning. She must have complied pretty quickly with the DO because I personally did not witness Simona in the shelter. So I don't have any personal experiences with observing her at the shelter through in her kennel. So I absolutely believe that based upon the escalation in behavior that the DO should be upheld.
All right. If there's nothing further, I would I'll take a motion.
I'll move to uphold the dangerous order.
I second.
All those in favor? All right. Thank you very much. Autumn, you want to call the next case?
If you're okay, can we take a 5-minute recess? We have somebody that was our first case to call. They have to be set up here because they don't have access at their home with the computer. So just get them set up so we can go ahead and call their case.
Absolutely. Do what you need to do.
All right, thank you. I will be right back.
5 minutes.
Yep. So it's 9:17 now, so we'll reconvene around 9:22 or so. Okay.
Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. No, as soon as Nicole comes back, we can get started. I said 9:23, so we still have, oh, there we go. All right. Are we
We are ready.
ready to proceed?
Yes.
Okay, please call the next case.
This is Anne Arundel County Animal Care Control versus Mr. Rogel for the reckless owner designation. Go ahead and turn it over to Roger. Roger, you're muted. And while he's getting muted, do I need to swear in for each case, Jen? Because I'm going to be presenting each one. Or is just
I'm sorry, say that again.
I'm going to be presenting each case, all the cases today. So do I need to be sworn in each time?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Autumn, unfortunately, I think it was on mute, but I'm going to read it again. For party speaking, could you please raise your right hand and keep your hand raised? And do you declare and affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay. So at one at a time, Mr. Rogel, can you just state your name and address for the record?
Albert Frederick Rogel Jr., 966 Nabbs Creek Road, Glen Burnie, Maryland, 21060.
And Mrs. Cortez, can you state your name and address for the record?
Autumn Cortez, 411 Maxwell Fry Road, Millersville, Maryland, 21108.
Okay. Now I'm going to ask everyone to use their mute function when you are not the party speaking. I'll now turn things over to Chairman Brianza.
Okay. All right. This is another animal control case, so I'll start with Autumn.
There's some extensive history into this one. So if any point in time I need to pause or answer a question, just let me know. On September 3rd, 2024, I received an affidavit of complaint from Robert Cohen regarding Willie, a Chesapeake Bay Retriever male, for an animal disturbance. The complaint stated that the dog is outside 24/7, barking and howling at all hours. Following the complaint, Mr. Cohen proceeded to send daily videos of the dog howling and barking in the early morning hours. Mr. Rogal was served on September 12, 2024. Following service on September 26th, Field Supervisor Simpson and myself went to the residence of Mr. Rogal at 966 Nabbs Creek Road to attempt to speak with him regarding his dog Willie, causing consistent animal disturbance. We observed the dog continuously barking and howling. Mr. Rogal at that time came outside, took Willie off the electric fence, and came to speak with us. I advised him of the complaints we are receiving and the hours of evidence that I have of his dog causing a disturbance. His response to us was that he doesn't hear the dog and that the neighbors just want to complain. When we asked why the dog was outside consistently, he stated that the dog used to be an indoor dog for the first year of his life, and that he didn't want the dog to be inside anymore, and that he wanted to keep the dog outside for protection. We advised that that was probably why Willie was barking at all hours of the day, because he wants to come back inside. He stated again that the dog was not coming back inside no matter what. We asked if he would be willing to try a barking collar, and he stated that he would. For the following 3 weeks, I received daily evidence of the dog howling all day and night. Robert Cohen and his family filed more affidavits for public nuisance. On October 24th, 2024, I called Mr. Rogal and asked him if he had purchased the barking collar. He stated that he did, but he had not put it on the dog. At this time, I sent the first affidavit down to court as he did not pay or appeal the citation. He also stated that his neighbors complain about everything and that he simply does not want them to win. I advised him that regardless of neighbor disputes, that the evidence I have shows clear violations and that it cannot continue. On November 12th, 2024, Mr. Rogal was found guilty of 1 count of animal disturbance. On November 13th, 2024, Mr. Rogal appealed all of the 3 additional citations for public nuisance. Between November 13th and his appeal at District Court on February 4th, 2025, I received well over 15 hours of evidence of the dog continuing to bark and howl between the hours of 3 a.m. and 8 a.m. All evidence was provided to the Office of Law. On February 4th, 2025, Judge Wilcox found Mr. Rogal guilty of 3 separate incidents of public nuisance. On February 5th, after receiving countless videos showing daily continued violations of the county regarding animal disturbance and public nuisance over a span of 6 months, affording guidance and recommendations to the owner, and the 3 guilty verdicts for public nuisance and 1 guilty verdict for animal disturbance, Animal Care and Control deemed Mr. Rogal a reckless owner.
Okay. Dr. Hemmer?
Thank you. Autumn, please, what was the date and the judge's name that found Mr. Rogal guilty on 3 separate counts of animal disturbance?
I will share that with you here.
Judge Wilcox, I believe she said.
Yes, so for this one, public nuisance, Judge Wilcox for citation ending in 1196, he was found guilty. Citation ending in 1195, again, Judge Wilcox found him guilty. And citation 1194, Judge Wilcox found him guilty for public nuisance.
Okay, so if I'm reading this right, he was found guilty by Judge Wilcox on the 4th of February. But if I read those citations right, they were 3 different dates in 24, correct?
Yes, they were 3 separate incidences.
Very good.
And
Thank
then
you.
we have, just to add on, because the reckless owner designation is a combination of county violations, not just one. Judge Duden on the 12th here did find Mr. Rogal guilty of an animal disturbance as well.
Very good. Thank you, Autumn.
Okay, is there anything else from animal control?
No, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Rogal, what would you like to tell us?
I got a dog. He barks. I bought a bark collar for him. Didn't seem to help any. But I don't know if they got stronger ones or not. If they got stronger ones, I'll get a stronger one. I take the best care I can of my dog. Miss the dog. And he kind of motivates me to go. I don't know what else to say. What do you want to know? I'll answer your question.
Jackie?
Mr. Rogel, why
Yes.
won't you bring your dog inside to solve the problem?
He's an outside dog. I just don't want him in. I got an inside crate. When I take him out, he's from being in it, he's wet from sweating, and he'd just rather be outside. He wants to be where I'm at.
But if you're inside, why not have him inside with you?
Well, he's an outside dog and he stinks and sheds, and it's just, I don't want him in the house.
Okay,
This is the third Chesapeake Bay Retriever I've had. None of them been in the house. They've always been outside.
okay, Jackie?
I'm sorry. For Autumn, what kind of shelter does Mr. Rogel have?
So at the time, he had a dog shelter for outside, food and water. It's kind of, you walk down the stairs and it's like an L, and this way is where you get into the house, and this way is where the dog shelter was at one point, and then he moved it because we did impound Willie back in late December, early January for severe weather, animals outdoors. Those citations have not been adjudicated, but they are there. But he does have a somewhat shelter, but based off the video recordings, I'm looking at about 15 in the evidence file. You can just see that the dog wants to be inside. You can hear the dog howling and barking, trying to get into a door. And I will like to note that since Willie has been in the shelter and has had daily interactions with our volunteers, being walked, he has not howled or barked once. He simply just wants attention from a human. And he's outside 24/7. Some of these video clips I have in here are from 12:30 at night, 1 in the morning, 3 in the morning, and it's a sad howl, crying to get back inside.
Mr. Rogal, you I thought I heard earlier, and I apologize because I can't remember if it came from Ms. Cortez or it came from you, but I thought I heard that you are unable to hear the dog when he's outside, that you don't hear him.
When I'm in my house, I don't hear him.
Okay. Do you dispute that your neighbors are hearing him?
I don't. Well, I didn't realize until I went to court and heard the tape. I didn't know he was barking like that.
Autumn.
If I will, when Officer Simpson and myself went out to speak with him at his residence, I played the audio for him back in the end of September. He did come into the shelter on several occasions, and I did play the audio for him then. And his response was, well, I can't hear it. I would like to note that even though they are neighbors, there's still a good distance between the houses, and you can still hear it as if the dog was barking straight into the camera.
Okay. Thank you, Autumn. Mr. Rogal.
Yes.
If you were to get Willie back, what is your plan for tempering the disturbance that he is creating? I understand that you've tried a bark collar and that has not worked. You refuse to bring him inside. So what is your suggestion on remedying this situation?
Well, they have different kind of bark collars. I'll have to just get a different kind of bark collar. The one I got beeps. He probably needs one that buzzes like a cell phone buzzes or a pager. He don't like the buzz around his neck because I have an invisible fence. That controls him. I've got a control collar that I don't like to say shocks. It doesn't shock you because I put it on me to see what it was. I didn't put it around my neck, but I've held it. And he don't like that. He listens with that collar. But the bar collar I got, it just beeps. It worked for a while, but then he just got used to it. And I keep seeing Autumn raising her hand.
Okay, but I still wanted to give you a chance to finish. So if I understand correctly, actually, I guess I'm a little confused because some of the collars you just mentioned would require a response from you, correct?
Yes.
Like to push a button.
The invisible
Well, how would
friend
that?
button.
Right, but the collars you described would. And if you don't hear the dog when he's outside, how would you know when to initiate a control on the collar?
I wouldn't. That's why I'd had to have it automatic. I didn't realize they had so many different kinds of bar collars. And then I looked into it further. I bought the cheapest bar collar I could because I don't agree with them. I mean, I just don't agree with them. Dog's supposed to bark. That's what a dog does. Is he warns you when people are coming around. And my neighbor that's complaining complains about everything. And I just get
If he
tired of
warned
hearing.
you about other, I'm still even more confused. If he warns you about others coming around, but you cannot hear him, then that's not much of a warning.
Well, the warning is people don't come down them steps. I think it's 13 or 15 steps to come down the hill to my house. He greets you at the third step, barks. You won't come down them steps because you don't know if he's going to bite you or not. He's never bit nobody at this point, and I don't want him to. I don't want him to be in that kind of condition because once that happens, it's pretty much done. He's the best dog I've ever had. I've had 3 of them in the past. And the other ones I had were biters. This is a good one. And I just hate to lose him.
Okay. Autumn, I know you had your hand raised before, but I'm going to go with Jackie. She has her hand up now. Go ahead, Jackie.
Thank you. Mr. Regal, I've heard the tapes, and my opinion of those tapes is that he is not barking as a warning to intruders. He is barking, whining, and howling for attention and looking for your attention. If it comes down to it, if it means it, the only way that you can get him back is to bring him indoors, which he sounds like he desperately wants. Would you consider that in order to have your dog back?
Or to get him back, I'd have to make that arrangement. Yes. He's crate trained. He's house trained. He just smells. Chesapeake Bay Retrievers got a smell because they're so oily. It's just a breed of the dog. And I didn't realize how much they shed until this one. Because this one was inside. I've never had them inside.
If you do bring him inside, would he have to be crated all the time, or can he spend his time literally with you in the house?
I wouldn't want him just running the house free. I wouldn't trust him.
And why, sir?
I don't want him on my couch. I got nice stuff in my house that I don't want him destroying. If I'm outside and I use a rake or a broom or whatever I got outside, I set it down. If I use a broom and set it down and walk away, he'll chew the handle off of it because I touched it. I guess that's his way of saying, mess with me or this is what happened. I don't know.
I think he's trying to get your attention, sir.
He gets my attention plenty, other than when I'm in the house. He's got an outside doghouse, insulated. He's fine. He's not weather beaten or I don't know what to say.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rogal. Is there anything else from any other commission members? Autumn?
Yes, I just wanted to make a note, as Mr. Rogal was speaking, it reminded me. Mr. Rogal has mentioned to us, he's come to me and said, hey, I am going on a hunting trip for a couple weeks. I'm not going to be home, but I do have somebody that's going to come by here and there to check on the dog. So in addition to leaving the dog out 24/7, he would leave. There's no guarantee that, whoever's coming to visit this dog, they're coming in the middle of the night. I can almost assure you they're not. But there's periods where he does leave, and he would leave Willie outside with the hopes that a caretaker would come and take care of the dog. And that's when a lot of the times the howling would severely get worse. I don't think that returning the dog would be in the best interest of Willie, and the issues with animal disturbance and public nuisance would continue if he did go back.
Okay, thank you. Anything else from anyone else? All right, hearing none, I'm going to close the hearing for deliberations. All right, before we begin, I just want to say something that perhaps others have had a different experience, but I had a Chesapeake Bay Retriever for 13 years, and I don't ever recall a smell any different than any other dog I've ever owned. And yes, I'm aware of the oils in their skin and the webbed paws, and I just wanted to throw that out there. I'm not sure that's a legitimate reason for, actually, I know it's not a legitimate reason for keeping an animal outside 24/7. But anyway, Jackie, you have your hand raised.
Well, I just wanted to confirm with you that the smell is probably coming from the fact that the dog is just outdoors and dirty.
Yes, I agree. I agree. Dr. Hemmer?
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I've seen gazillions of Chesapeake Bays, and they only smell because the owners haven't bathed them. That's it. I mean, so that's as far as the odor goes. These are the kind of cases that break my heart. I mean, not a lot of things dig deep in my core, but cases like this do. There's a dog that's just pining for human attention. There's just a dog who's probably a great pet, who's just being shunned. And everything I've heard from Mr. Regal, and I don't mean to be judgmental, and I don't want to come across like that, but he's very intransigent in his position in terms of not allowing that dog inside or giving that dog any kind of basic human attention that dogs need. I mean, we talk about the human animal bond all the time, and this is just a classic example of how we've just abused that over millennia. And I gotta say that returning the dog to this situation is not going to be good for the dog. And I don't think it's going to be good for the community or the neighbors. So I feel very strongly that this dog should be taken by animal care and control.
I agree. Nicole?
I agree 100% with Dr. Hemmer. I have personally handled Willie at the shelter. He is a fabulous dog. He does just want attention. Never have I heard him, cause a disturbance when I've had him outside or any other issue that I think is relevant here to this case. So, and the fact that despite, the only option to have him back, if that were to be the case, would be to bring him in. And, I just see, number one, that not happening, and number two, a dog being relegated to a cage. And he deserves better than this. And Willie is currently impounded, and I don't believe he should be returned. And I believe we should uphold the reckless owner charge.
Thank you, Nicole. Tom?
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with everybody without piling on too much. I mean, I'm pretty sure the man said that, that he wants this dog for, protection and barking and keep people away. And, we made the point that, you can't even hear the dogs. What's he warning you of? And then he kind of like back and forth on should the dog bite somebody or not. It just seems like it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So yeah, I'm not, I kind of agree with everything else that was said. I mean, um, there are outside dogs. I know plenty of people that keep their dogs outside, and a lot of those dogs work and are farm dogs and do other things, but they're managed, they're dealt with on a daily basis. They're given, affection and time with their owners and things like that. And they can live a healthy life in that way. I don't think that the dog being outside in and of itself is the issue here. But again, I think giving the dog the proper, a job to do or things to do or some sort of outlet is a lot. So that's all.
I agree with everything I've heard. I know there's a lot of dogs that love being outside, but this obviously is not one of them. And in my opinion, if 4 convictions in district court hasn't solved the issue, then we weren't likely to hear anything today that was going to be done to rectify the situation. So at this point, I'll take a motion.
I make a motion to uphold the reckless owner designation.
I support Nicole. I second.
All right, all in favor? Thank you. Okay, Autumn, call the next case, please.
While Roger or Officer Simpson has to escort Mr. Rogel out of the building, I got a note, I guess, that Miss Colburn, Anne Arundel County versus Vera Colburn, she's having trouble getting into the Zoom and is requesting a postponement. However, Animal Care and Control is ready to proceed today along with the victim being present. So I will, since it's less than the 5 days, I will turn that over to you and the commission to decide to grant that postponement.
Okay. Have you seen, can you see on your end, Autumn, when someone has tried to log in?
Yes. So everyone else is here. No one else has had any issues. We even texted her the link. I just think it's a last minute. I don't want to make any assumptions. I just know that we're ready to proceed.
Okay. I'll hear from other commissioners. I mean, there's been no other postponement on this case before, correct? I mean, except maybe the counties because of the cyber attack, right?
So this would be the first postponement requested on either side. It's just by policy we say that within 5 days, but then if it's less than 5 days, it has to be decided by the commission to grant that postponement.
Okay. Dr. Hemmer?
I would petition the commission to grant the postponement, as I'm just reading what Ms. Colburn is saying about Odd Eye. And there's apparently been some animal deaths, some ducks and chickens have been killed. I think we owe her the obligation to be able to hear her side of it before we adjudicate this. So I would suggest we, keep the order in place until we can, hear an appeal whenever it gets in her wheelhouse to be able to do. But I would afford the commission the consideration of postponing this.
Okay. Before I take a vote on that, Autumn, it says that Odd Eye is at home. Is that
Yes,
correct?
Odd Eye was one of the dogs that complied with the order, and was able to redeem theirs, appealing the designation.
Okay. Jackie? You're muted.
I know. Thank you. I agree with Dr. that since the dog is in and we hopefully don't have to worry about another incident, that we acknowledge the postponement.
Then I'll just go ahead and make a motion that we postpone Anne Arundel County Animal Care and Control against Vera Colburn. Do I have a second?
The motion. I second the motion.
All right. All those in favor? All right. Thank you.
So we are ready for the next case if you are.
Yes, please.
So Anne Arundel County versus Howe. If you are a participant in this case, please use the raise hand function so I can promote you.
So for all parties speaking, could you please raise your right hand and keep your hand raised?
Roger, she hasn't joined yet. One second.
Oh, okay. I'm not seeing, I don't think I can see everybody.
Miss Howell, if you could please accept the promotion to panelist. Here she comes. And then, there we go. If you turn your camera on.
She's in the bathroom right now.
Hold this a second. She'll be right in.
She'll be right out.
1 second.
Hey, Jen, does anybody need to take a quick break while we're waiting for her to come back, or are we good with waiting until she comes on?
I mean, I'm almost in, do we have folks from another case ready to go? Because it seems ridiculous to keep folks
Yep.
waiting.
Yep. So yeah, we do
All right,
have.
so-
Yeah, let me just put her back. So I have the last case other than Anne Arundel County versus Howe. I have, if you are a participant in the Anne Arundel County Animal Care and Control versus Callaway, please use the raise hand function. Mr. Callaway, if you could please accept the promotion to panelist so that way we can present your case. And I would just like to make note to the commission that Mr. Callaway is the owner of Tank and Snowball, and Mr. Gessler is the owner of the victim dog.
Okay, thank you.
And Roger, you go ahead.
For party speaking, can you please raise your right hand and keep your hand raised? I don't think Mr. Callaway has, there we go. Yeah, Mr. Callaway, can you just raise, yep, I see it now. Do you declare and affirm under the penalties of perjury and testimony that you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Okay. At one person at a time, Mr. Callaway, if you want to start, can you please state your name and address for the record?
John Callaway, 1308 Hill Street, Odenton, Maryland, 21113.
Great. Is it Mr. Gessler? Can you please state your name and address for the record?
My name is Kevin Patrick Gessler, and I live at 1307 Gill Street, Odenton, Maryland, 21113.
Thank you. And Mrs. Cortez?
Autumn Cortez, 411 Maxwell Fry Road, Millersville, Maryland, 21108.
Thank you. And now I'm going to ask everyone to use their mute function when they're not the party speaking, and I will turn over everything to Chairman Brienza.
All right, this is another animal control case, so I will start with Autumn.
On March 6th, Sasha, who is the victim dog owned by Mr. Gessler, was let outside in the backyard around midnight for the use of the bathroom. Mr. Gessler had Sasha attached to a tether-like device where she could move back and forth in the yard, so that way she could use the bathroom. Around that same time, at midnight, Tank, a Mastiff type mix, brown and white and colored, neutered male, and Snowball, a pit bull type mix, white and color male, while running at large, were involved in a fatal animal attack against Sasha, who is owned by Mr. Gessler. On March 12th, 2025, Animal Care and Control placed a dangerous order on both Tank and Snowball. Mr. Calloway appealed the order that the animals still while the animals still reside at Animal Care and Control. He has, we will make note, been working diligently to be in compliance with the order, but is still appealing the designation. And I will allow Mr. Gessler to comment further on the incident that happened that night. That is all we have.
All right, there's Mr. Gessler. Okay, Mr. Gessler, you want to tell us what happened on the night of March 6th?
Sure. Much like Autumn said, a minute or two before midnight, I let Sasha out on her line. I would like to point out that she was in a harness, not a collar. I look after my dogs. I'm very careful about them. There was no way she could hang or do anything other damage to herself while on that line. I made personal sure of that regularly. Anyway, at 12:03, 12:04, maybe as early as 12:02, I heard growling, yelping, and squealing, and I immediately ran out of my back door. Do you have? Anyway, I saw Snowball with her muzzle completely around my dog's chest, and Tank was lunging at her rear legs and organs. It was vicious, and it still haunts my nightmares. So I screamed and leapt at the dogs, and I thought I had scared them away because they ran around the corner of my house. I went to care for my animal. She was panicked and terrified, as you might imagine, and didn't recognize me and wouldn't accept help. And then I heard my mother scream in concern and worry and fear around the corner of my house because she had gone to make sure that the dogs were gone and they were advancing on her. And so I left my grievously injured dog and I charged those beasts, and that they ran away. And then they turned and confronted me near my evergreen tree in my front yard, and their heads were down and their shoulders were up, and this was not a play bow. Their legs were too vertical. I couldn't hear them as I was screaming at them to try to scare them away. And when they did that, I feared for my life. I'm pretty sure I could handle one of them, but I think the other would have gotten me in that time. And so I screamed even louder and sprinted at them, hoping that they would run away. And I count myself lucky to this day that they did. And that is my experience with those horrible beasts. I'm available for any questions.
Mr. Gessler, do you need a moment before we proceed?
I'm all right. This is just the most traumatic night of my life thus far.
Thank you, Mr. Gessler. Do any commission members have questions for Mr. Gessler?
I'm just trying to get a lay
Tom?
of the land, Mr. Gessler. So you have, is it a single family home? Is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
A single family home. About what's the approximate size of the lot?
I think it's a little under a half an acre.
Okay, a little under half an acre, and you had the dog tethered to a run that gave access to that entire half an acre, or just part of that half an acre, just closer to the home. Can you describe that a little bit?
Okay. Sure. She was on a 30-foot steel line. It was only designed to allow her access to the backyard, not the front yard, as there are many obstructions and possible dangers to the backyard. Also, I am chemically removing a massive stump in my backyard, and I didn't want her exposed to the chemicals, so I chose the length of line that would be appropriate for that.
Okay, thank. There's also no fence, I would assume.
There is a fence, but I've only lived here 2 years, and I'm looking into getting it fixed. But one side of the house is not fenced, so you
Okay,
can get
thank
from
you.
the front yard to the backyard fairly freely.
All right, thank you, sir.
Jackie?
Mr. Gessler, I'm so sorry to hear about your evening. How is your dog?
I had to put her down due to her
Oh.
injury.
I'm so sorry.
Any other questions for Mr. Gessler from commission members?
Not for Mr. Gessler, but for Autumn. We're seeing two dangerous orders here with the death of the animal. I mean, I guess it was not, it was somewhat later. Was there any consideration of a vicious order in this situation?
Given that it was a fatal animal attack, given the county code and laws that are governing around the decision making, the dangerous order was the highest that we could go at the time.
Okay. Anything else for Mr. Gessler? Mr.
am
Calloway, what would you, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Gessler, go ahead.
I don't have anything else to say. I just wanted to respond and say I'm at your service if you have anything else to ask me.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Calloway, what would you like to tell us about Snowball and Tank?
Let's see. I've had Tank for about 7 years, ever since my grandson was 5. That was his dog. I got it for him. He's it's unfortunate this incident happened. I've never seen him aggressive towards anybody or anything. I have numerous of people, kids over here. They play with Tank and Snowball in the backyard. They're two of the most lovable dogs. I don't know much to say. I love them two little guys. They lay on my couch. Tank sleeps in the bed with me. I mean, like I said, it's just unfortunate this incident happened. Like I said, I've never seen him aggressive towards anybody or anything. Tank barks, he runs around the yard, he barks at people walking by or dogs walking by, but he's just being a dog. That's all I have to say.
Mr. Calloway, is there any dispute that your dogs were at large that night?
Oh, no, ma'am, they were.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Calloway? Nicole?
Well, Mr. Calloway, what are your current barriers to compliance with the designated orders of dangerous?
Well, I put the signs up. I put a second barrier on the top of my stairs. I am waiting on the kennel to be delivered. It'll be delivered from what they told me next Monday. It was supposed to be delivered this Friday, but something happened. So I'm just waiting on that. I've got the muzzles for them. I mean, you know, anybody that has ever interacted with my dogs, they know that they're good boys. I mean, they're lovable. I'm just trying to get my babies home. That's all.
Okay, well, I'm a little confused then as to the posture of the case. Are you, I mean, if the goal is to get the dogs home, compliance with the dangerous order is the way to make that happen, but you're actually appealing the designation itself. Is it your claim that anything that Mr. Gessler described did not happen?
I wasn't there. I don't know. The gentleman was. He saw it. The dogs were loose. I did talk to him that same evening. He said he had to rush his dog, was bleeding profusely. Me and my grandson were here in the house. There was no blood on the dogs, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen exactly the way he said. I don't know for a fact. And I'm just the order of them being dangerous dogs. Anybody that's interacted with my dogs, you know, at work or family members, even my landlord and all her kids or grandkids, they don't look at them as vicious, dangerous attack dogs that are going to kill or attack anybody or anything. But I am trying to comply with everything animal control is saying I need to do.
Thank you, Mr. Calloway. Tom, you had a question?
Yeah, can we discuss a little bit how these dogs came at large and that whole, you know, situation? Is this something that happens frequently? I mean, I don't understand how the dogs, maybe I missed it, I'm sorry, but how did these dogs come at large? I mean, is it something, again, does it happen frequently? Are the dogs allowed to roam at large, like within your supervision, like in your yard? Can you describe that, please?
Yes. In the yard, I have a fenced-in yard. On the side of the house, the double gate fell down, so I put up a large board to block it off. But it was windy that day, and I guess the wind blew it down. And I had just gotten off work, and my grandson let the dogs out, and not knowing that they actually got out of the yard, I noticed that they did because I have cameras set up outside my house, and anytime there's something or someone coming by, it beeps off. And I looked and I saw the dogs running, so I went outside. I was calling them, and that's when I heard Mr. Kessler is his name, screaming, and my dog's running out of his backyard.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anyone else have any questions for Mr. Calloway? Okay, if there is no other evidence and no further questions from anyone. All right, hearing none, I'm going to close the hearing for deliberations. I'm a little confused. I heard what Autumn said, that the DO was the highest. I'm a little confused as to why, considering there was the death of a domesticated animal. So Autumn, do you want to?
Yeah.
Am I missing something?
So there was no history on either one of these dogs. They've never been brought to our attention whatsoever. And based off of that, based off of our investigations of the case itself, you know, it is unfortunate there was a fatal attack, but based off of no history, the behavior that we observed here, that the dangerous order was the most appropriate. The dogs are not people aggressive. They're not really. I don't want to say they're not animal aggressive. I just know from what I've witnessed, they are not people aggressive whatsoever. I just think that the dangerous order was the most appropriate one here. From this, it's unfortunate what happened. It's very sad, but I don't believe that vicious was the appropriate way. However, the commission can vote to make that change, as that's their authority to upgrade or downgrade.
All right, and I apologize. I wasn't implying that that should be done at all, because history obviously plays a big part in it. I misunderstood the statement. I thought in any event.
Apologize.
Nicole, have you worked with these dogs at animal control?
So I have observed through the kennel these dogs. They're not a dog that the dogs in this situation are not handled by myself. So just they don't seem friendly. I hear what Autumn's saying about not being people aggressive, but they do bark when I go into that area. They do bark, and if I were to be allowed to handle them, I personally wouldn't, just based upon their in-kennel presence. But again, it's a scary place, and there are barrier issues there. So I'm not going to judge these dogs based upon their in-kennel behavior.
Okay, Dr. Hemmer.
When you read the emergency report, that poor dog was really aggressively attacked, significant thoracic injury, and broke the dog's back. I mean, this was not just a fight. These dogs wanted to kill that little dog. I mean, I see that clearly from the report. I see no other option here but to uphold the dangerous order as it's written, with no exclusion or exception.
Tom?
Yeah. Well, we're not closed for deliberations yet, correct? I was going to ask a question, Mr. Gessler.
We are close for deliberations,
Oh,
but
I'm
you
sorry.
can still ask, but that's fine. We can.
Well, I don't know
even
that
once
I don't
we
know that has
close-
much bearing. I was only going to ask Mr. Gessler, and he can answer if he likes. I mean, is there any? I mean, not that it really truly doesn't make a difference to my decision, but I was just interested to know if perhaps these dogs, I guess they live within close proximity to each other. Has there ever been any history there? Have the dogs ever met on a leash or otherwise? Again, it's not that big of it was more of a curiosity if this was the first time this dog has seen those dogs or anything like that. If there was any sort of, it seems as if those dogs knew that this little dog was in that general area through whatever reason. So I didn't know if there was any way they might have known. But again, that he can answer or not, but it's not going to change my decision. I agree. We need to uphold the dangerous order. I'm fine with animal control making that decision that vicious was not warranted. I do think that these animals, pose a threat and should be kept confined. I want to reiterate that if we do uphold this dangerous order, that those animals need to be muzzled on the way to a kennel, not just when they're out on walks and things like that. So those things can save other animals' lives. So again, I would uphold.
Jackie?
I agree on upholding it, but I just wanted to ask Autumn, is there any history of the dogs being reported at large before?
No, ma'am. We have no history. So that's some of the data that we did maintain was citation, stuff like that. There's been no citations, no affidavits, nothing on the history of these dogs. And given the age of the dogs, if there was any, we would be able to see it.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm inclined to agree with everyone else. I mean, I think the restrictions in the dangerous order is probably the minimum that we could do to ensure that nothing like this ever happens again. So having said that, I will take a motion.
I make a motion that we uphold the order in its entirety on Snowball and Tank.
I'd second.
All in favor? Thank you. Okay, so do we know if Miss Colburn is ready now?
So Miss Colburn is the one that we postponed, Jen.
Oh, I'm sorry, not Colburn. It was Howell. Sorry, wrong notation.
No, you're fine. It was the last case, so I'm gonna promote her back to panelist to see if we're ready to move forward.
I
If
did
you are,
question in the chat that we would hear her case after this last one. So hopefully she's still there waiting.
yeah, she's still here in the attendees. I just put her back as a attendee and not a panelist, so we could hear the Callaway case. Let me go ahead and promote her back. Miss Howe, I'm going to promote you back to panelist if you could accept.
Hello.
Hey, Roger, go ahead.
Okay, so for all parties speaking, can you please raise your right hand and keep your hand raised?
Oh, I'm sorry. We have one more that's coming in, Miss Riley.
I also have my grandmother here with me and my son here with me. They're here for support, but they are here.
Will they be testifying today, Miss Howe?
Did either of you want to testify?
If you need.
They're available for questioning.
Okay,
If
Ms.
they're
Howe,
going to testify or answer questions, then we're going to need to see all three of you on the screen so that they can be sworn in as well.
okay, can you just raise your right hand?
Oh, we have one person we can't
more.
see on your.
Let me adjust. Sorry, my grandmother's 87. She has a hard time getting around. Sorry.
Okay. Okay, I see. Great. Okay, just keep your hands raised. Do you declare and affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes. Say yes. Yes.
Thank you. Okay, at one at a time, can you please state your name and address for the record? Starting with you, Mrs. Howe.
My name is Kathleen Nicole Howell. My address is 2034 Poplar Ridge Road, Pasadena, Maryland, 21122.
Great, thank you. And now, I'm sorry, can you have your son state his name and address for the record?
My name is Cole Howe, and I live on 2034 Popular Ridge Road.
Okay, thank you. And also,
Grandma.
your grandmother? Yes. Thank
Miss
you.
Barbara, but she goes by Grandma.
Okay,
My name
great.
is Barbara Kutz. I live on the Eastern Shore at 13498 Rustling Oaks Drive, Y Mills, Maryland, 21679.
Thank you. Mrs. Cortez?
We actually have one more person, Roger. Miss
Oh, I'm
Riley,
sorry.
she's here. If you could swear her in, or you could do her name first. Miss Riley.
Yes.
I'm not seeing Mrs. Riley.
We
She's
see
there.
her. She's got her
You see
hand
her?
raised.
Okay, okay. Mrs. Riley, can you please raise your right hand and keep it raised?
It's raised.
Okay, great. Do you declare and affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, if you could just please state your name and address for the record.
Ruth Riley, 1888 Cedar Road.
Okay, great. Thank you. And I'm now going to ask everyone to use their mute function. And when you're not the party speaking, I will now turn things over to Chairman Brienza.
Okay. Since this is an animal control case, Autumn, we'll start with you.
Just to make note, Miss Riley is the victim in this case. And then Miss Howe, her son, and her grandmother are all the defendants.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so just to establish some history here, on July 22nd, 2023, Bentley, a Boston Terrier type male, black and white in color, while running at large, was involved in an animal attack against Bella, a pit bull mixed type female, and Zoe, a pit bull type female. On July 31st, 2023, Animal Care and Control issued Bentley a warning letter for being in violation of Anne Arundel County Code 12-4-402 Public Safety, paragraphs 3 and 5, and 12-4905 Animal Running at Large. On February 13th, 2025, Bentley, while running at large, was involved in a human bite incident to Ruth Riley, biting her twice in the back of the leg. Bentley was impounded for public safety. Due to Bentley already receiving a warning letter and having a history of running at large, Animal Care and Control deemed Bentley to be potentially dangerous on February 20th, 2025. On February 21st, 2025, Ms. Howe appealed the potentially dangerous order while also becoming compliant with the order so that way she could bring Bentley home. She is currently in compliance with the order and Bentley is at home. On March 1st, Ms. Howe was able, obviously, to be in compliance, and that is when she redeemed the dog with the understanding and under the condition that Bentley is a potentially dangerous dog and that she needed to remain in compliance pending any results of this hearing. On March 19th, 2025, Michael Argo filed an affidavit of complaint with provided evidence that showed Bentley, once again running at large and not in compliance with the potentially dangerous order. Animal Control stands by its decision to deem Bentley as potentially dangerous, given the history of both animal attacks and now human bites, along with the violations of an order just 2 weeks after redemption.
Autumn, I have a question. Because I just couldn't write as fast as you were talking. So how
I'm
many
sorry.
prior citations were there?
So as it stands, the Bentley issued a warning letter for an animal attack on 2 separate dogs on July 31st, 2023. There's been numerous calls out to the residents on Poplar Ridge for Bentley running at large. As it stands, I currently have 9 affidavits of complaint, one including the potentially dangerous order violation of Bentley with provided evidence that has not yet been adjudicated, but I do have it and she has been served. And then,
Are there any citations that we've previously adjudicated that the commission has? Okay.
No, ma'am.
Are there any other citations that were just paid or complied with?
No, she has not appealed and or complied with anything that she's been served with, which was a month ago.
Okay. And was that the first, a month ago when all of this started, was that the first contact with animal control?
Citation wise?
July of 2023 was the warning letter, right?
Give me 1 second to pull it up directly.
I'm just trying to get a handle on the history.
Yes, no, there's just so many cases I don't want to say the wrong thing. I apologize. Kathleen. Yeah, so there's been no other citations to our knowledge. We have several public safety threat affidavits of complaint, the violation of potentially dangerous order citation. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9 public safety threat violations and 1 violation of the PDO. Based off of what we were able to rebuild in October of 2024 on the 17th and the 1st, we were called out to an aggressive animal by the name of Bentley. On September 26th, again, we were called out to the residents of 2034 of an aggressive animal, but Bentley had returned back to the property before an ACO could make contact or witness the violation. I do have an affidavit for the September 26th violation. It just has not been adjudicated. Again, there's an extensive incident history between 2023 and now that we were able to rebuild since the loss because we had everything physically. There's 17 incidences between that regarding Bentley itself, the dog itself.
17 incidents total. Okay. All right. But we are only dealing with the incident from March here today.
Yeah, so she is appealing the designation of potentially dangerous on the designation that we placed on Bentley.
Okay, and that was from an incident in March, right?
That was the incident that occurred on February 13th, 2025. Um, that is when Bentley was involved in the human bite to Ruth Riley. And then the evidence was the history and the warning letter that went into the support of our decision.
Okay. All right. I think I got it now. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I apologize for.
No, I'm sorry for talking so
running
fast.
Okay. So Miss Riley, you are
Yeah.
the victim in this case. I'm going to start with you. Can you please tell us what happened that day?
I was out on a walk as I normally do down Poplar Ridge Road, and I was by myself. And as I was walking down the road, I glanced up ahead of me and noticed two dogs standing in the road. And as they saw me, they began running at me in a very aggressive manner. So the Boston Terrier was with another dog, like a small black dog, maybe a lab mix, I'm not sure. They both came very aggressively at me. The hair was raised up on their back. They were barking and lunging at me. And it was quite terrifying. I've never been in any kind of situation like that ever. And I just stood there for, I guess, a few minutes trying to figure out what should I do, because I figured these two dogs can kill me. If one started, I figured the other one would just jump in. I was looking around for some kind of a stick, anything I could find. The closest thing I could see was a recycle bin. So I tried backing up very slowly and got to that recycle bin, and at least use that as a barrier for the black dog, because it had a longer snout. I thought it could do more damage to me. And so I used that to protect me against that dog. But then twice the Boston came from behind and bit me in the left calf. I really couldn't do anything to ward the dog off. I mean, it bit me, but I didn't want to get the other dog, you know, also to attack me. So, but both of them were at the same level of aggression. It's just the one was able to bite me. I kept backing down the street. I was hoping that a car would come by. One guy did come by, stopped briefly, but then he left. And then thankfully another lady came by. But just as this other lady came by, the dog started to leave. And I noticed a gray truck coming out of a driveway that actually the driveway I had passed. Because as it turned out, this incident happened probably a lot or two before the house where the dogs lived. I walked past them and was further up the street by the time that the dogs left me. And when this gray truck came out of the driveway, I believe he was calling the dogs. He never got out of the truck, but the dogs went to him and then back up into the driveway. And then the lady that came by in her car, I asked her, would she drive me over to the driveway, so I could ensure that that is where the dogs lived. And I took a picture, which I did send that picture to the county, verifying the black lab and the Boston were going up into that driveway. She asked me, did I want to get out and talk to the owner? And I said, absolutely not. I want to get home and I want to, take care of the wound on my leg. Fortunately, I had on long pants. So the damage, I guess I'll say, to my left calf muscle was somewhat minimized, but it was very painful. You could see the teeth where they had gone into my leg. It was not actively bleeding, but you could definitely see the teeth marks in the leg. So anyway, and the property itself, and if any of your animal control people have been there, it just is not well kept at all, very sketchy looking. So there was no way I was going to enter the property, neither that day or even as a follow-up once I got home and took care of my leg. So I called you all actually, as I was actually still there in the road. I called animal control and spoke to someone. And you dispatched a an officer very quickly came to my house. It was a very terrifying experience, as I said, never, and I haven't walked back down there again. I do now have mace in my possession, as many of my neighbors who I know do a lot of walking and many other people have spoken that they have either confronted the dogs, two dogs, not just the Boston that bit me, but they have also had other confrontations with these dogs. That was terrifying. None of them got bit though, but now many people over here are carrying mace. The problem is with two dogs, you could use the mace on one dog, but then is that going to provoke the other dog or even both of them to even have a more violent outcome? I just hope and pray that no one else has to experience what I experienced, and that nothing happens to a child or someone that doesn't have the ability to get out of the situation.
Thank you, Ms. Riley. Any questions from commission members? Dr. Hemmer?
Yeah, I actually have a thank you, Miss Riley, for that narrative. It's very clear. I do have a question for Autumn though. So I'm looking through the evidence. There is a letter from the commission about or from animal care or the police about the hearing today, and it's regarding a dangerous order on Bentley. And then if I look in the evidence file, there's a potentially dangerous on file for dated February 20th this year. Are we dealing with an upgrade? Are we dealing with what are we dealing with? Just so I'm clear. I
It was
apologize.
a typo on my part.
Oh, okay. No, we're good.
Nicole actually called me out on it a
Oh.
little bit ago. It's potentially dangerous.
Okay,
So-
thank you. My bad.
Okay, I agree. Ms. Riley, I saw the photo that you provided of the bite wound to your leg. I'm sorry that happened to you. I was just wondering, did you seek any medical treatment for that wound?
I spoke to a doctor that lives in the neighborhood, and I did not actually go anywhere. I sent him the pictures and talked to him about potentially taking an antibiotic, but I did not do that. He told me what signs to look out for. I also talked to your health department, who was actually proactive in contacting me. I kept Neosporin on the wound, and like I said, the doctor from the neighborhood that I know just kept in contact with him of what to look for.
Okay, thank you. Tom?
Yeah, Autumn, is the severity of the bite, is that the kind of main driving factor in the PDO versus a DO in the situation?
Yeah, the severity of the bite, in combination with the last incident being it was an animal attack that, was, I don't want to say it was minor, but it was an animal attack. That's why we went with the potentially dangerous order, just because evidence supports the PDO and not the dangerous order itself.
That's what it did seem that way. Thank you. I just wanted to verify.
Any other questions from commission members for Ms. Riley? Okay, Ms. Howell, what would you like to tell us?
I would first like to apologize to Miss Riley for this incident. I am terribly sorry. I do not ever want to be the reason somebody experiences harm or trauma. I work in healthcare, so the well-being of people is important to me. So I am terribly sorry for that. In regards to the incident that happened in 2023, July, with my son as a witness here, my dog Bentley was not going after the dogs. It was not an animal attack, and I actually submitted in evidence pictures of Bentley. What was happening is this man that had these pit bull boxers would walk by, and my fence bumped right up against the sidewalk. It was in Glen Burnie, a neighborhood, and so the fences go right to the sidewalk. of the, your front yard. My yard was completely fenced in. Bentley is a small dog. He's about 20 pounds, Boston Terrier. So he can kind of squeeze through things that, I didn't know he could squeeze through. But this gentleman would walk by and blow air horns at all of the dogs in the neighborhood because he had trouble controlling his dogs. And so he would go by, and to get dogs to back away, he would blow an air horn at them. That was a
Ma'am, I understand that there's a history. We're not adjudicating the case from 2023, and the commission I mean, we
Okay.
have no control over that at this point. Can we just stick to the incident that occurred with Miss Riley?
Okay.
What would you like to
Yes.
tell us about that?
So Bentley is not an aggressive dog. He's never these incidences, as they started to come to my attention, because it took a while for things to come to my attention. Some of these incidences I didn't even know about until everything came to light. I feel very, you know, responsible, and I'm taking full responsibility. There have been holes in my fence, which is how the dogs were getting out in the beginning. I've come to find that those holes are being created by raccoons. I had submitted evidence late. I don't know if you guys got it. I did it over the weekend because it was until then that I realized that it wasn't my dogs creating the holes in the fence like I had originally thought. It was actually the raccoons. And so that's how they were getting out. And so I never knew when there was a new hole in the fence. The problem has been fixed because my dogs are no longer allowed out. They're not just let out back to use the bathroom anymore. They're walked around the yard. I have a pen that I will keep Bentley in if I want to give him outdoor time. I have talked to an animal behavior specialist um, who seems to think that the behavior issues from what's happening is when we just moved here about a year ago, and the dogs, with it being a new environment, have become very territorial. And so if you look through the evidence, you will see that all of these incidences took place kind of right in front of my driveway. They don't go far. I believe that from what I've seen and from what the behavior specialist has read, and I've talked to her, it's a territory issue, and I am looking into getting training, extensive training for my dogs to go through to try to help this behavior issue. Um, I have 3 kids in the home. I have a husband and a roommate in the home. So, there's a lot of people. We have installed secondary barriers in the house. This is a learning process for us as well. We're doing our best. Nobody is perfect, but I want everyone in my neighborhood to feel safe. So there's been a gate put in separating my living dining area from my kitchen where my front door is, but now I have, since this weekend, installed another gate um in the back area, like right at the back door, because that was an issue. They could push that door open and they could get out. And so it has been a learning curve. You know, he did get out, since all this has happened, but it wasn't for very long. As soon as we realized it, we got him. I also turned in a letter from my direct neighbor whose house, yard, and stuff kind of bumps up against mine. Again, she was out of town and she just got back in town this weekend, which is why she wasn't able to submit the letter until this weekend. So if you accept it, you do. If not, you don't. But I think it is important to see, my neighbor's perspective as well, because she has a lot of interaction with the dogs. The recycle bin was on my property, and so I believe that Bentley probably bit her, just trying to protect our property, as dogs sometimes do. Um, but my dogs, I have a 4-year-old that Bentley is his best friend. They're always together. I submitted several pictures of Bentley and my 4-year-old and my grandmother. I run a phlebotomy business, and I have even taken Bentley with me to comfort patients. I've never had an issue with him. He's up to date on all of his shots. He often frequented dog parks. He's always gotten along with other dogs. Um, but I do understand that a dog's behavior can change when the owner is not present. And I believe that that is what was happening. So I take full responsibility. I'm not trying to get out of this at all whatsoever. I just would really like for my dog to have another chance, for you to allow me to get the behavior modification therapy done, to which when he graduates that, I could certainly submit a certificate. I have no problem doing that. My grandfather once sat on the Animals Matters Committee. I grew up on a farm around animals. I had 2 pet tigers, so I really do understand the seriousness of having to be responsible for your animals. I can't ever say with 100% certainty that they won't get out again. I mean, I am certainly doing everything in my power to ensure that they don't. And I've also started walking them in the neighborhood to maybe familiarize them and familiarize other people, which was a recommendation of the behavior specialist, said if you walk your dogs regularly, then that in itself can reduce aggressive behavior. So I'm not saying that my dogs were not acting aggressively. I'm saying that it was because of a territory issue, and that I'm going to do everything I can to fix it, and I'm going to do everything I can to ensure that they do not get out and they are not at large. But again, I have never had any aggression issues with either of my dogs to anybody that has ever come over. And in reviewing the evidence, some of the statements that were made, I think are just unfair. I'm sorry. There's one statement that said when Miss Applebaum had called animal control, the animal control officer had commented, "Oh,
Ma'am,
we're very familiar
are
with
you talking?
hounds."
Oh, I'm going to stop you, but because that's the first time I'm hearing the name Applebaum. So is that from a different citation? Okay, we're going to stick just
I'm
with
sorry.
the
I
incident.
received a lot of different paperwork, and I don't know what is. I thought that
Today we are only hearing the issue involving Miss Riley, because that is what the
Okay.
potentially dangerous order was issued based on. So I understand there's a lot of other things going on, but for
I'm
today's
sorry.
purposes, the commission can only hear that. Nope, you're fine. I just want to make
I
sure
apologize. Yeah.
that we're not dragging this on longer than it needs to be.
I
Is there anything else relative to the incident with Miss Riley or the conditions currently placed on you by the potentially dangerous order?
I just want to say that I just believe that because it was so close to my property, because the recycling bin was actually on my property, that's what really triggered the behavior and the territory issue. I'm very sorry. I will continue to comply, whether or not this is upheld or if it's decreased. I will still hold the insurance policy. I will still follow everything that was in the order that I had to comply with to get, Bentley back. So I will still comply. I would just like another chance, because God forbid if something ever happened again, he doesn't deserve to be put down. He's a wonderful, wonderful, loving, sweet little dog, and I'm very sorry that this happened.
Thank you, Ms. Howell. Is there Autumn?
I just have a couple
Yes.
questions for Ms. Howe, if I may ask.
Okay, and then my grandmother, can she speak after? Do we take turns? I don't know.
She could, yes. If she has something relevant to this case to say, then yes, we will allow her to speak. But first, Ms. Cortez had a question.
Okay.
Okay, can I ask Ms. Howe a couple questions, Jen?
Go ahead.
Ms. Howe, you said that since getting Bentley back that you walk them now to familiarize them with the neighborhood.
Yes.
How do you walk them?
So me and my husband have gone out, well, 3 times since this happened. I do put the muzzle on Bentley, his harness, his collar with the big clip that attaches the collar to the harness. The leash is non-retractable. I am having trouble with the muzzle. It keeps falling off. I was told I had to have the cage muzzle, but his snout is so flat that if he just goes like this, it just comes right off. So I really think I need to get the net one. They make a net one that he can wear that kind of like goes over his nose with Velcro. I think that would be a better option if I would be allowed to switch to that kind.
Yeah, Officer Herbert would make that decision. That's not my authority, so you'll have to contact her in regards to that. I mean, I don't have anything else further, Jen, other than, the history. And then after, in compliance with the order, dog was out again. And then, if we remove the PDO, it's not ensuring the safety of the neighborhood because, like Ms. House said, there's a good chance. Well, there's no saying that the dogs won't get out again. And if the dogs get out again and it's veering territorial of the neighborhood or its yard, it's a concern for us here at Animal Care and Control. Other than that, I don't have anything else to say.
Understood. Miss Riley, you're muted, ma'am. Please unmute.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Am I allowed to say anything after Ms. Howe spoke?
If you have something else you'd like to add to the case, you can
Yes,
certainly.
I would. I just wanted to clarify that the recycle bin had nothing to do with the aggression of the dogs, that I was 100 feet from that recycle bin when the dogs approached me in a very aggressive manner. I used that recycle bin only to attempt to protect myself as I got to that point. The dogs are already in attack mode, so they were not protecting the property because I was not near that recycle bin when the initial attack happened. So I would not say that this was the dogs protecting their property because I was nowhere near their property when they attacked me.
Okay, thank you, Miss Riley. All right, before I get to any more commission member questions, Ms. Howell did ask if her, was it your mother or your grandmother? You had somebody else to present testimony? Okay, can you unmute, please, Ms. Howell?
I apologize.
Okay. That's okay. Is this your mother or your grandmother?
This is my grandma. She raised me though, so she's pretty much my mother too.
Okay, and your name, ma'am?
My name is Barbara Kautz, Kautz.
Okay, Ms. Klotz, before you begin, do you have anything to tell us that is relevant to the incident with Miss Riley?
I cannot talk about the incident with Miss Riley because I did not witness it, but I would like to tell you about Bentley. I would like to testify on Bentley's behalf, if that's okay.
I'll give you a little bit of leeway, but briefly, please.
Okay. I've known Bentley since the day after Nicole got him. He greeted me at the door, wagging that little stub of a tail and wanting to get up on me and love me. I had a Boston for 16 years, so I am familiar with their behavior. Bentley is a very active little dog. He's a loving dog. He's around children all the time. They get in the floor with him, they romp with him, and I can't begin to imagine why he would have attacked anyone. When I go to Nicole's house, I have to almost fight my way in the house because they are at the door and they are greeting me. So we get into the living room and imagine a black lab and a Boston struggling to get up into my lap. And they show nothing but love and affection. This little dog deserves another chance as long as Nicole will be able to comply with what you have asked for her.
Thank you.
There are a lot of people that come to the house. She is not always there, but she has had a powwow with everybody in the house as to what needs to be done.
He is
And
being crate
that-
trained now. Sorry.
Yeah,
He's in a crate.
she puts it.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm gonna, okay,
Okay. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be rude. I get the gist of the testimony. I understand that she loves Bentley and thinks he is a very sweet dog. I'm just trying to keep things moving here on the hearing. I had two commission members with questions. Jackie?
Thank you. First, I have a clarity question for Autumn. Autumn, I just want to be sure that I understand how many complaints or affidavits do you have about Bentley running at large since the incident with Miss Riley?
You mean after Bentley was redeemed?
Yes, thank you.
So we had the affidavit come forward from Michael Argo that had the documentation that was date and time stamped to show that Bentley was in fact at large violating the PDO. There was other people who came forward to confirm or support the statement that Bentley was at large. They just didn't have the evidence. So there's several supporting affidavits of complaint from Mr. Michael Argo.
Okay, thank you. And
yeah.
then, is that all? I'm sorry, Autumn. I didn't mean
No,
to cut.
go ahead.
So my question now is to Ms. Howe. Ms. Howe, how and why has Bentley been at large since the issuance of the PDO and you retrieving him from the shelter?
So what happened is my son, it was very early in the morning. I'm sorry, Cole. I'm sorry. He went outside to pee. There were people in the bathroom. We only have one. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
And
It does that too.
I'm
Go on.
sorry. And he did. And Bentley slipped out and he didn't notice. And as soon as I was up and moving, and it couldn't have been but maybe 20 to 30 minutes, as soon as I was up and moving, we realized Bentley was not present and we went outside and we called and he came right back. He came right back. He was just kind of up at the top of our driveway. They don't go far. So I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Would you like to say something? Would you like to say something?
Like, hear you. I think
Sorry, son, we can't hear you.
You got to talk up.
when Bentley got out, I thought he was in the house, but as soon as I noticed he was gone, I put on my shoes and then I ran out and called for him and tried getting him.
Thank you.
And before we got him back, when Miss Riley got
Oh, this
bit,
is about Miss Riley. Okay.
then when I came back from school, I saw our trash ban about 3 houses down and didn't know what was happening and saw the like letter from the animal control.
It's okay. We've moved beyond. You just needed to answer the question that was asked. It's okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Cole.
I see two other questions waiting, but Dr. Hemmer, you had previously had your hand raised
Yeah.
and then you put it down.
Yeah,
So
just waiting my turn. So.
Okay, but I know you were first, so go ahead.
2 quick questions. Which animal behaviorist are you taking Bentley to or you've consulted with?
Yes, let me
Ms.
look at
Howe.
my phone at her name. Okay, my grandmother, her name is Deborah Collison. She wrote a statement. She is a behavior specialist as she has licensing from the county through her farm, Newark Petting Farm, which is where I grew up at. And so she has evaluated my dogs, wrote a statement, and then she referred me to somebody who specializes in training. And if you just hold on one second, I'll get her name for you.
That'd be great.
Thank you.
And then Autumn, I think, while we're waiting for her to get that name, Autumn, did you have something else?
I would just like to make note that when the affidavit was filed and we received evidence that Bentley was in fact at large, Miss Howell had no knowledge of this, that she was at work. She proceeded to provide us different times throughout the day of Bentley inside the house. But she made the statement that she had no idea how the dog got out. I don't even think she was home when it happened based off of the conversations that she's had with us and Officer Herbert. I can't prove that, based off her testimony, but I know based off the facts that Officer Herbert and I had in conversations with her, she was adamant that Bentley was not out, that it was not her dog, that they were at a hotel, that they weren't even in the state. And then it turned out to you and my son. So she had it's my belief and Anne Arundel County Animal Care Control's belief that she was not home when Bentley was let loose.
Okay, let me just make something clear. Okay, for today's purposes, we are talking only about the incident with Miss Riley. I understand that there may have been a violation of this PDO that occurred afterwards, but since we're not adjudicating that today, I think we have to be very careful about the weight that we give to that evidence afterwards. First of all, we haven't seen the affidavits, we haven't seen the evidence at this point. And I'm not doubting, Autumn's rendition. I'm just saying, as far as the evidence goes, we have not seen any of it. So it's hearsay at this point. It's speculative, but I mean, it's not part of today's case. So yes, there may have been a violation. Today, we are only deciding whether or not Ms. Howell's her appeal of the PDO should be granted.
I apologize. That's the only reason why I referenced it again, was the reason why the PDO should be upheld, just to ensure
Right,
that does not happen again.
I understood.
We can't enforce the order, even though she says she's going to continue to do those things. We can't enforce it without the order in place.
Understood. Nicole, you had a question. I'm sorry, I thought I saw your hand raised. Okay, at this point, anyone else have any questions? Dr. Hemmer?
I'm still waiting on the name of that specific behavior trainer that she's using, and I've got one other question for Ms. Howe real quick.
Sorry. Her name is Victoria, and I have her phone number if you'd like to write that down.
Does Victoria have a last name?
I don't, she did not give me her last name.
Okay, all right. Last question I have for you, succinctly, Ms. Howe, in your request for the hearing, you feel that animal control made the decision of the PDO in error? Specifically, in a sentence or two, where do you think animal control made an error in judgment on giving Bentley a PDO? In a sentence or two.
I think it was done in error because I don't think that there's enough evidence to show that Bentley is a dangerous dog. I'm sorry.
Wow.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I think we've heard all there is to hear about the incident with Miss Riley. I'm going to go ahead and close the hearing for deliberations. All right. Dr. Hummer, I always seem to start with you, but you're our resident expert, so.
Yeah, we're all experts, and I appreciate that. Thank you. I have not heard anything today that specifically Miss Howe in her appeal letter feels animal control made an error in labeling Bentley with a PDO on the incident, just dealing with the incident that we're talking about this morning, and that there's minor human injury. I believe that animal control did in fact make the correct designation. And I think based on the testimony I've heard today, I believe we should uphold the PDO. Thank you.
I agree with Dr. Hemmer. I understand that there is a provision in the statute, to mitigate if the animal was protecting its property or someone else. But I don't think the recycle bin argument flies, because at that point the dogs were at large. So it's not as though someone, had come inside their fence. I just wanted to point that out because that recycle bin seemed to come up quite a bit. And I don't think it's relevant to this discussion because the dogs were not under the control of its owner. So, Nicole?
Sorry,
sorry,
it took way
that's
longer than that needed to take to do that. No, I absolutely agree. And yeah, it's unfortunate, but in order to protect the public, I believe that the PDO should be upheld.
Jackie?
I completely agree. The PDO should be upheld.
And Tom?
Yes, I believe it should be upheld. I also believe it should be enacted. I believe that the family should take measures to make sure things like secondary barriers and all are in place so we don't continue with this issue. But yeah, definitely uphold.
Okay, then I'll take a motion.
I make a motion that we uphold the potentially dangerous order against Bentley Howard as written.
I second.
All in favor? All right. And if I understand correctly, that was our last case?
That was our last case. All that's left is the vote on February's meeting minutes, as there was a postponement for for March and then January. So it has to be February's.
Okay, so I'm going to assume everyone here has had an opportunity to review February's minutes. All right,
I make a
will
motion we accept. Oh, no, go ahead, Jennifer, please.
No, go ahead.
I make a motion that the commission accept February's minutes as published.
I'll second. All those in favor? All right, fantastic.
Was that Nicole that accepted that second? Okay. Sorry.
No, it was me that second.
Oh.
Sorry. I know I haven't done that this meeting, so I just had to throw a curveball in there, right? All right, we have one last thing we have to discuss, and that is the proposed legislation that was sent out. Has everybody had a chance to review it? I know it was rather lengthy, 35 pages. Most of that, however, was changing agency to department. The majority of the substantive changes, are in the establishment, or the new matter that are in the establishment of the department. So I think we need to have a discussion. We lost Tom.
We did. Ugh. I will reach out to him.
Okay. Did anyone comments, opinions?
I read over it specific. I read the whole thing, just a quick read, and then I focused on the Animal Matters Commission, the part that pertains to us specifically, and I really feel pretty good about it. I think it's a good move for the county to set this up as a separate department on a number of different levels, and if someone has any other thoughts, I don't think they made any real changes to how we operate or our service to the department, as I'm understanding it. Yeah, I think it's all good, and I'm comfortable with it.
Anyone else? I agree with Dr. Hemmer. I didn't see any substantive changes to the commission itself and how it functions. So I think for our purview, that's the only thing really for us to address. I'm not sure that it's our place as a commission to address anything related to the establishment of the department or any of the other changes being made. Did anyone else see anything in the section regarding the commission that they were concerned with or had an issue with? Okay, so for purposes, this is being, the next hearing is April 21st for purposes of the commission. I plan to let the council know that the commission is in support of the changes presented relating to the commission, and that the commission is not going, won't take a position on any of the other proposed changes. Is that a fair
Yeah,
recitation?
I
Yes,
don't.
no?
Yeah, I think that that's a fair representation, Jennifer. I think that our only focus should be on how the proposed establishment of the department affects our operational matters, and I don't believe it does. But just as an overall input, I think the movement to a separate department's a solid move for the county to make. And if you wanted to share, that's my opinion, and I think that's the consensus of the commission, but I don't want to speak for everyone else. But that's all I'd probably share with the council, Jennifer.
Okay, I do have, I just had one question. Because, and maybe I didn't see it, or I wasn't sure. Our recommendation will still, once this legislation goes into effect, is our recommendation going to be made to the director of the department or still to the chief of police? And I could have sworn
The director of the department. It will no longer be the chief of police.
right. Okay, that's what I thought. And that was the only substantive change as a practical matter that I saw. So everyone, I just wanted to point that out to make sure that the commission members understood that.
So
that we would no longer.
the one thing I did read about that, I mean, I'm fine with it. I think is the appeals process to that any different? I thought, and I'm sorry, my computer literally just gave me a 5-second warning that it was going to die. So I had all this stuff up and now I don't. But is there something that after the decision of the director that there's any substance or major change to how an appeal would work versus like?
No, it was to go to the Board of Appeals as normal.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's my understanding, Tom, is I read through it and talking to Claudia that the appeals process doesn't change.
Okay.
The citizens still have the same right of appeal as they do now, just instead of appealing the chief of police decision or his designate, they're going to appeal Claudia's.
Okay, fair enough. And as long as that process is all exactly the same as it is now, just the different person they appeal, I have no change then. I'm fine with it as well.
Yes, my understanding.
Okay. I don't think, I mean, stuff of this nature doesn't require a vote. We're really just having a discussion. I just wanted to make sure that I had everybody's feelings. So just to reiterate, the commission supports the changes that were made in the section regarding the Animal Matters Commission, and we don't have a position on any of the other proposed legislation included in this. And I think that with that, we have come to the end here today. Is there anything else we need to go over, Autumn?
Need to vote to adjourn for the day.
Fantastic.
I make a motion.
I just want to, real quick though, just to remind folks that June my term expires. So I will be here for the May and June meeting, but we need to give some consideration to who is going to take over as chair starting in July.
Do you not want to extend that?
I'm sorry?
Would you not want to continue on? Because I'd have to talk more with Claudia about it, just go over the county code and current, but you can extend if you would like.
I thought I couldn't because this is my second term.
When Robin was running things, I ran into the same situation, Jennifer, that I had. So I had to be out of it for 2 years or 3, how many years I was out of it, because you can only do 2 consecutive in a row, and then that's it. And then if you're out of section, then you can come back for another 2. That was the way it was explained to me.
And
by
that's my
Rob.
reading of it. I could have extended my role as chairman if I was still in my first term, but I'm not. I'm at the end of my second term. So, and it's actually gone on a little longer than a 2-year term because I was initially appointed in February, but it took a little while to get, but regardless, I just, the only reason I was bringing it up was, because, now, if, first of all, I believe there is a provision in the code, if we don't have a quorum without me and no one else has been appointed, I can stay on until another commission member is brought on so that we have a quorum, if that's the issue. But if that's not the issue, we need 5 for a quorum, right?
4.
4.
4.
Right. So even as we sit right now, without me, there is still a quorum. But the only reason I was raising it was just because we would need someone to take over as chair. That does not need to be voted on today. I was just planting the seed. We can talk about that again at the next meeting, and I will be here for the next 2 meetings.
I will bring that up with Claudia, so that way I have more information for everyone at the next commission.
Yeah.
And another, I'm sorry, go ahead, Tom.
No, I was just going to point out again. I mean, we've had this maybe discussion in the past, but I'm definitely the longest standing kind of individual that's been on this board for some time. But again, I do represent the health department, and the police definitely represents the police. So, I've had to decline that position before, and I just want to make sure everyone's aware that I believe it should be a citizen member that should take that role, because obviously I'm the health department. I'm representing the health department. Police, same way. You might have a different person in this chair any given week. While it's mostly me, sometimes it's Greg, or it could be anybody really. So when I hit the lottery later today, you don't want to have to worry about all that. So
Yeah, and much along Tom's comment, and I know that Stephanie was the chairwoman or the chairperson for a while, but in my discussions with Claudia, that I don't think a veterinarian should be the chairperson either, because we are here just to consult with the commission on professional and medical matters, as well as having a vote. But it can certainly be a different veterinarian sitting in this seat as well too. And I personally feel strongly that the chairperson should come from the citizenship. Just my thoughts.
Yeah, I'll get with
Right.
the Office of Law and Claudia, and I'll have more for you guys in May.
Okay.
Okay, fantastic. And with that, Dr. Hammer, I will take your motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Make a motion to adjourn the April meeting of the Animal Matters Commission.
Tom seconded. I don't know if
Okay.
you heard it, Autumn, but
I
he did
tried,
raise his
yeah,
hand.
sorry.
All right, all in favor? And we are adjourned. Thank you
Great.
very
Have a
much.
great
See you
month,
next month.
everybody. Take care.